In an unprecedented move, the filmmakers of Sonic the Hedgehog listened to the internet after the first trailer dropped, and they actually went back and changed the main character to better match expectations. Huge kudos to them for doing that. But is having a decent looking character enough to make a good movie? A blue hedgehog from another world who can run extremely fast finds himself on Earth being chased by an evil genius who wants to exploit him and experiment on him. So I asked a question in the intro, and I know that I risk losing everybody right now because I give away the spoiler of the whole review, but is having a good-looking character enough for a good movie? No, it's not. You have to have a good story. If you don't have a good story, then you can have all of the beautiful-looking things you want, and it won't matter because it's not going to draw us in. Sonic the Hedgehog, it does not have a good story. It tries, it almost does, but it just doesn't deliver. This was boring. I mean, if you are 8 or you have kids under 8, they might get some chuckles out of this. They might get a little bit of enjoyment and have some fun with it. But overall, it's not a good time at the movies. And the movie being boring is not the actor's fault at all. I mean, James Marsden, who plays a cop in this, he's just a really nice guy. Sure, he's got some cheesy dad jokes, and he's just a little bit goofy and off, but it works, especially because this is directed towards a kid's audience. And so he's really nice, and you root for him, you enjoy him. I liked watching him on screen. Jim Carrey is really just Ace Ventura with a really bad mustache. I mean, he's zany, he's over the top. Sometimes it really works, other times it was kind of cringy and I just wasn't feeling it at all. But for the most part, I did enjoy Jim Carrey, and I liked seeing him back in this kind of just weird, like lots of facial expressions, over exaggeration of the body movements. I mean, you know, it is Ace Ventura, it's Fire Marshal Bill, it's all that rolled into one, the mask even, and he works in this for the most part. And then even Ben Schwartz, who voices Sonic, he's good too. I mean, sure, we don't see him on screen, but his inflection and everything, it works for what he's given as the script. But through all of that, it's the story. The story is just lacking. I mean, this is trying to be like a buddy cop movie or even a road trip movie at one point, and it doesn't accomplish either of them. It almost gets there, like it sees, well, hey, I think we want to be a buddy cop movie or just a buddy movie, you know, and then you could combine that with road trip. Buddy road trip movie, awesome. There are several examples that we have that we can draw from that are wonderful movies, that are comedies or actions or dramas, and it doesn't matter what the genre is at that point. It's just, this is the vehicle that we're using, cool, we're going to go with it. But they don't actually get there with this. They don't give enough of it to make it fun. Now, there were times that I did laugh at this. I mean, there are funny moments in there, but it wasn't a lot. And what that did also is work to highlight the rest of the film when it wasn't funny. And I just thought that's not the thing that they were trying to go for, that I wanted to have fun with this. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to just enjoy it because you have the goofy characters. You have the fun characters. A lot of the jokes felt forced. They just didn't land at all. And you wanted it, though, to be fun. I mean, it's a kid's movie. I enjoy going to kids' movies. I don't mind them at all. That's not a turnoff to me. If it can be a fun kids' movie, then I'll have a blast at it because I can have an immature sense of humor. I actually do for most of the time. The graphics quality in this also is inconsistent. Sometimes the CGI looked really, really good. I mean, at times, like Sonic was amazing looking, and just some of the textures that they used, and even some of these robots that they had flying through or drones that were going around, they were awesome to look at. And then other times it was terrible. Like it looked it didn't fit. Like they hadn't color graded it correctly or done something weird, so it really stood out as being very, very CGI. There are some components of this story that I don't even think kids are going to like. I mean, there's some scenes with a military or the military commanders, and the jokes are cringeworthy. It's really, really terrible. I mean, it's so out of believable area that it doesn't even matter at that point. But I don't even think, like the kids in our audience, they didn't laugh. They were just kind of like, so I know that with this part of it, there's some that just, you should have just cut it out. I mean, I understand you needed this part for one line to introduce Dr. Robotnik, who is Jim Carrey, but there's probably a better way to do it, or rewrite that scene so that you're not forcing yourself. I don't know. It was too over the top, but not in a funny way. So there's also a weird relationship thing going on in here. I mean, I already said that James Marsden is a really nice guy. Well, he's married, and he and his wife have an amazing relationship. They have a great friendship, they get along really well, and everything that we see from them is happy-go-lucky. And even James Marsden, I mean, he's just super nice to his community, to his neighbors, to his friends, everything. Everything about him screams nice guy. And then there are some scenes that are on the phone with James Marsden's wife's sister. And she's like, divorce that guy, get rid of him, get away from him. And it feels so out of place. We don't know where it's coming from. Why does she feel this way? Is she a man-hater? I don't think so. I mean, we don't even get that. We don't get enough information to even understand that and why she would be if she were. It just, that whole part of it, that dynamic was so out of place. And maybe there's stuff that was left on the cutting room floor that explains some more of it, but I think they should have just done away with it. Maybe they used that because they set her up for a little comedic moment later on in the film, but honestly, even there, it wasn't funny. It wasn't great. I mean, you might chuckle once or twice, but other than that, it was just more time added. And so I think they should have reworked it because, again, it was so mismatched. There's one character saying all of these things that totally contradicts everything that we see about this character. There's some crazy and blatant product placement in this also. Olive Garden is mentioned once or twice, and the second time, I can't really tell if maybe they're poking fun, if they're making fun of themselves for the product placement. I don't know. It's really hard to tell because at some points it doesn't seem like it's a positive thing, and then they kind of make it a positive. It's like a biting backhanded comment type of thing. There's also a blatant Zillow product placement reference in this, which leads me to just a massive problem that I have with the film. James Marsden and his wife are looking to move from Montana to San Francisco. Who in their right mind is doing that? I mean, most of California is trying to move out of the state. I should know I live here. And then what made it even more funny is that if you got to see it wasn't on the screen very long and they didn't zoom in on it, but the apartment price that she was looking at on Zillow was $4,500 a month. Yeah, I don't know. He must be a cop who's also selling crack because just that price alone, wow. One thing that if you're plugged into really niche culture, there was a Sonic meme that was shown in this. And I know my boys absolutely loved it. That was the one part of the film that that was the best part of the entire thing. And it's on there for about a second and a half. Now, I was honestly very excited to see this film. I mean, I thought it was just going to be cute and fun, lighthearted. I mean, it's a video game. So, I over the top even. Let's just have a lot of fun with this. And they went back and they fixed the graphics. So I was like, sweet, okay. You're showing that you're really invested in making a movie that everybody's going to want to see. But they just didn't deliver on the story. And that was really disappointing to me. So I can't in good conscience recommend that you go see this in the movies. Even with a few funny and cute moments and really likable characters, it's just not enough to make it worth it. I mean, I wouldn't even say go see it on a discount day or even on a matinee. I mean, save your hard-earned cash. Yeah, your kids will probably be disappointed because they want to see this, but take them out and get ice cream with that money. The enjoyment will last a lot longer than it did in the movie. There's no sex or nudity. There is some mild profanity and a little bit of violence. I give Sonic the Hedgehog 2 out of 5 couches. Is there a video game that you think that would be good turned into a movie? We've had a lot of hits and misses with these over the years, but let me know in the comments below if you think there's one that, I would really like to see this and I think it could be executed well. I'd like to know. I'd be curious. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.